My name is Daniel Carter. I'm 34 years old, and if you had asked me a year ago whether I trusted my wife, I would have answered without hesitation, with my life. Now, I'm not even sure I trusted my own memories. Before I begin, if you enjoy emotional family dramas with shocking twists and endings you never see coming, take 1 second to subscribe. It really helps the channel and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Now, let me tell you the day my marriage almost ended. It happened on a Friday evening. My wife, Emma, told me she had to attend a small reunion organized by some old college friends. Nothing unusual. She had mentioned it a few days earlier. I even helped her choose a dress. She looked beautiful. As we parked outside the restaurant, she suddenly grabbed my wrist before I opened the car door. She looked nervous, not guilty, just scared. Then she leaned close enough for only me to hear. She whispered, "Daniel, please don't tell my ex you're my husband." I honestly thought I had misheard her. "What?" She looked toward the restaurant entrance before answering. "Please, he doesn't know I'm married." For 3 full seconds, I couldn't say a word. My own wife was asking me to pretend I wasn't her husband. Every logical thought disappeared from my head. I had 1,000 questions. Why? How? Since when? Instead, I simply smiled. "Okay," she blinked. You're not angry?" I shook my head. No. The relief on her face was immediate. She thought I had accepted it. She had absolutely no idea that from that exact moment, I stopped seeing the evening as a dinner. It had become an investigation. As we walked toward the entrance, a tall man stepped outside. He smiled the second he saw Emma. Without hesitation, he hugged her, not like old friends, not like strangers, like someone who believed she still belonged to him. Emma hugged him back. Then she quickly stepped away and looked at me. "This is Ryan," she said. Ryan smiled politely. "And you are?" I looked him straight in the eyes. I reached out my hand and smiled. "Daniel." Nothing more. He shook my hand. He had no idea who I really was. But in less than an hour, one sentence I was about to say would change every single person in that restaurant forever. The dinner started. Then everything felt wrong. Ryan led us inside. The restaurant was already crowded. Around 20 people were laughing, taking pictures, and greeting each other like they hadn't met in years. The moment Emma walked in, everyone's attention turned toward her. Then something happened that instantly made me uncomfortable. One woman smiled and said, "Ryan, you finally convinced her to come back?" The entire table laughed. Emma forced a smile, but she didn't correct her. Not once. I watched her carefully. She wasn't acting like someone enjoying the joke. She looked trapped. Ryan quickly changed the subject. "Ladies and gentlemen," he laughed, "let's sit before the food gets cold." Everyone moved toward the table. There was only one empty seat right next to Emma. Ryan pulled out the chair for her. Then he sat beside her, which meant I was placed directly across from them. Perfect, because now I could see everything. For the first 20 minutes, I barely spoke. I simply listened. Every story somehow came back to Ryan and Emma. "Remember that road trip? Remember your graduation? Remember when everyone thought you two would get married?" Emma smiled politely, but every single time, she looked at me for a split second, almost like she was checking whether I was okay. I smiled back every time, calm, relaxed, exactly the husband she expected. Then Ryan leaned toward Emma and quietly said, "I'm glad you didn't tell him." He thought I couldn't hear it. I did. Emma immediately whispered back, "Not here." That wasn't normal, but it also didn't sound romantic. It sounded urgent, almost frightened. A few minutes later, Ryan stood up. "I'm grabbing another bottle of wine." As soon as he disappeared, Emma leaned across the table. Her voice was barely audible. "Daniel, I'm sorry." I looked at her. "For what?" She opened her mouth, but before she could answer, Ryan returned. Conversation over. The rest of the table never noticed. I did. Something was happening between those two, but it wasn't what everyone else believed. Then Ryan raised his glass. "I have an announcement." The entire restaurant became silent. He smiled. I've been waiting years for tonight. My heart started pounding. Emma's face turned completely pale, and at that exact moment, I realized whatever Ryan was about to say could destroy more than one marriage. His announcement changed everything. Ryan stood there, holding his wine glass high. The entire restaurant became quiet. He smiled confidently. I've waited a very long time for this night. People started clapping before he had even finished speaking. Emma didn't. She looked down at the table. Her hands were trembling. I noticed something no one else did. She quietly whispered, "Please don't." Ryan either didn't hear her or chose to ignore her. He cleared his throat. "You all remember Emma and me?" The room instantly filled with laughter. Someone shouted, "The couple that should have gotten married." Another wave of laughter. I looked at Emma. She looked embarrassed. Not happy. Ryan continued, "I've made plenty of mistakes in my life, but tonight, I finally have the chance to fix one of them." My jaw tightened. What exactly was he planning? Then, Ryan reached into his jacket pocket. The entire restaurant leaned forward. He slowly pulled out a small velvet box. The room exploded. People started cheering. Several guests immediately grabbed their phones to record. Emma's face turned white. "Ryan!" "No." Her voice cracked. He ignored her. He slowly opened the box. Inside wasn't an engagement ring. It was a very old silver necklace. Ryan looked directly at Emma. "You left this with me 10 years ago. I promised I'd return it." When the timing was right, the cheering suddenly stopped. Everyone looked confused. Ryan smiled softly. "I think tonight is finally the right time." Emma stood up so quickly her chair nearly fell over. "Ryan, we talked about this. You promised." He looked surprised. "I thought you changed your mind." Before either of them could say another word, I quietly stood up. Every eye in the restaurant turned toward me. Ryan finally looked at me. The smile disappeared from his face. He suddenly realized he didn't actually know who I was. I slowly walked toward him, reached out my hand one more time. He shook it automatically. Then I looked him straight in the eyes, smiled, and said one sentence that made the color drain from his face. "Ryan, I'm Emma's husband." The restaurant fell completely silent. The secret wasn't what I thought. The restaurant became so quiet. No one even breathed. Ryan slowly released my hand. You could hear forks hitting the plates. Then he whispered. Ryan stared at me. What did you just say?" I calmly repeated, "I'm Emma's husband." His face instantly lost all color. He slowly turned toward Emma. "Emma, you're married?" She closed her eyes, then nodded. "Yes." The entire room exploded with whispers. "What? She's married? Since when?" One woman even stood up. "I thought you two were getting back together." Emma looked around the room. "No, we were never getting back together." Ryan took 2 steps backward. His hands were shaking. You told me you weren't ready to tell people." Emma looked directly at him. "I said I wasn't ready to tell you." The room became silent again. Ryan looked completely confused. "I don't understand." Emma took a deep breath. "Because every time we talked, you kept bringing up our past. You never accepted that my life had moved on." Ryan lowered his head. For the first time, he looked genuinely embarrassed. Then he looked at me. "I'm sorry. I honestly didn't know." I believed him. His reaction wasn't fake. He had been lied to, just like I had. But the biggest question still remained. I looked at Emma. If he didn't know, and I didn't know, then what exactly have you been hiding? Emma's eyes immediately filled with tears. She whispered, "Not here." I shook my head. No. No more secrets. She looked around the restaurant. Every single person was watching us. Then she quietly said something. That made my heart stop. "Daniel, I never lied because of Ryan. I lied because of you." For a second, I couldn't even breathe. "What does that mean?" She grabbed her purse, pulled out a thick brown envelope, and placed it in my hands. "I wanted to tell you after tonight, but I don't think I have that choice anymore." I looked down. My own name was written across the front. Daniel Carter. Before I could open it, Emma whispered something that changed everything. Please read it before you judge me. At that moment, I realized this story had never been about Ryan. The biggest secret had been sitting between my wife and me all along. The letter changed my life. My hands were trembling. The restaurant had completely disappeared from my mind. All I could see was a brown envelope with my name on it, Daniel Carter. Emma quietly stepped closer. Please read it. I slowly opened the envelope. Inside were several medical reports, hospital records, blood test results, and one folded letter. The first page immediately caught my attention. Genetic compatibility report. I frowned. What is this? Emma wiped her tears. Keep reading. I turned the page. My eyes stopped on one sentence. Patient diagnosed with an inherited heart condition requiring immediate monitoring. I read it again, then again. My name was printed at the top. I looked up. This can't be right. Emma nodded. It is. Ryan quietly spoke for the first time. I work with the cardiologist who found your father's old records. I stared at him. What? Emma took a deep breath. Ryan never invited me here to get back together. He contacted me 3 weeks ago because he discovered something about your family. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Emma continued, he knew if someone else called you, you'd think it was a scam. So he asked me to meet him. I didn't tell you because... She broke down crying. I was terrified. I wanted to understand everything first. I looked back at the medical report. Suddenly, everything started making sense. The strange phone calls, Emma secretly leaving the house, late night conversations, the envelope. It had never been about hiding another man. It had been about protecting me. Until she knew the full truth. I slowly looked at Ryan. You knew all this. He nodded. I also knew. You would have punched me before letting me explain. For the first time that night, I almost laughed. Because he wasn't wrong. I looked at Emma again. You should have trusted me. She nodded through her tears. I know. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I thought I was protecting you, but I was only pushing you away. The restaurant remained silent. Nobody was recording anymore. Nobody was laughing. Even the waiters had stopped walking. Then I asked the question that had been haunting me since the night began. If all this is true, why did you tell me not to say I was your husband? Emma looked down, then quietly answered, because Ryan promised he would only tell me everything. If nobody knew who you were. I was afraid. If he recognized your name too early, he'd refuse to give me your father's confidential medical file. I looked at Ryan. He slowly nodded. That part is true. But now, there is something else you deserve to know. And what he said next was even more shocking than the medical report. The truth. I never expected the restaurant was completely silent. Ryan looked at me for a long moment before speaking. There's one last thing. The genetic condition wasn't the biggest secret. My heart sank. What do you mean? He slid one final document across the table. It wasn't just your father's records we found. It was your mother's. I frowned. My mother died when I was 12. Ryan nodded. Yes. But before she passed away, she left a sealed letter with the hospital. The doctor believed you should only receive it if this condition was ever discovered. Emma whispered. I wanted you to read it when we were alone. Not like this. With trembling hands, I unfolded the letter. The first line nearly broke me. My dearest Daniel. I couldn't hold back my tears. She wrote about how much she loved me, how proud she was, and why she had hidden the truth all those years. She knew the illness could one day appear. She also knew most people in our family would panic. Her final wish was simple. Don't spend your life afraid. Spend it with people who truly love you. I lowered the letter. My vision was blurred with tears. Emma stepped closer. I'm sorry. I should have trusted you from the beginning. I thought I was protecting you, but I was wrong. For the first time that night, I truly saw the fear in her eyes. Not the fear of getting caught, the fear of losing me. I looked at Ryan. He quietly said, I owe you an apology too. I judged your marriage before I even knew it. I'm sorry. I reached out my hand. This time, not because I was pretending, because I meant it. He shook my hand. The past was finally over. I turned toward Emma. She whispered, So, can you ever forgive me? I smiled. Then I pulled her into my arms. I don't forgive secrets, but I forgive people who are willing to stop keeping them. She cried harder than I'd ever seen before. The people around us quietly applauded, not because anyone had won, but because honesty had finally defeated fear. That night, we didn't go home angry. We went home different. A few months later, we started treatment together. Every hospital visit, every difficult day, we faced side by side. And today, whenever Emma starts to hide something because she thinks she's protecting me, I simply smile and remind her, no more closed doors. Because I learned something that night. The strongest marriages aren't built on perfect people. They're built on imperfect people who finally choose the truth. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. What would you have done if you were in Daniel's place?